Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we have the Dragonfly XH-1. So, the Assault Chopper Dragonfly XH-1 was first released in a box set in the United States in 1983. The box included the driver, Wild Bill. The toy was also sold in 84 and 85 and was unfortunately discontinued in 1986. So, one of the big features that it did have was it did have rotor blades that would actually spin, had like a little mechanical kind of like a push switch or whatever on the side to try and get them to spin. All right. So, looking at some of the wonderful views, uh, had an offset cannon here. We had what I believe was like two bombs and a couple different missiles off on the side, as well as the chin cannon. And then we have our rear view and a nice side view, so you got to see the cannon on there. And here's the other side. So it is a very nice look at it. A slightly modified version of what is really the um, Huey Cobra. And of course, they couldn't call it a Cobra because Cobra is the bad guys. So now we have it as the Dragonfly. Um, and it is another very iconic vehicle that we got to see in so many episodes in G.I. Joe. And it has that very nice look to it. And it is even more interesting to see that in today's day and age, they've taken the Cobra and they've upgraded it. And it is now, I believe, the Viper. And it has not just the two blades, but now it has four blades, and it has been upgraded with different electronics of whatever sort it is. Um, and I think the Marine Corps will be using it for some time to come. So, very easily done to say if we wanted to port this over to today's day and age, it would be now based off of the, the Viper instead of the Cobra. And maybe even call it the Dragonfly 2. But it has a very nice look, very nicely done. And we got to see this as a couple different reissues throughout the years. Um, all the different parts. Like I said, we had the four missiles and the two bombs on there, as well as the cannon. So, and they do have this coming out as a GI Joe classified version. So it is going to be for the 6-inch figures, which, having seen it, it looks wonderful. Okay, so we have some easily broken or missing pieces here. Several pieces that can become lost are the canopy, the nose turret, and the hook and winch. The missiles, of course, and the side gun. The black hose that attaches to the side gun, if I could speak tonight. The two red rubber pieces on the ends of the rotors. Sometimes they would wear off from play and all that. Um, and then we have some of the other images here from one, starting with Sunbow. So, of course, they were used all the time, and things always changed. Sometimes they became more of the regular Huey instead of the Cobra. Um, so, I mean, on this one, you see that they put in a sliding door. Um, Not saying that they couldn't have come up with a subversion of it as a troop transport version, but yeah, just the silliness of how they did things in animation. And of course, some of the nice box art with Wild Bill sitting here. I don't know who that is offhand. Uh, sometimes they'd have characters actually put helmets on, sometimes they wouldn't. So maybe it's Crazy Legs, maybe it's not. And of course, we have Zartan here in the water moccasin. Um, okay, so um, going off of the little stats that we have here, and we'll see how these file cards change things here. All right, so it's a two-man crew, fully loaded, can go about 220 miles per hour, has a range of 510 miles. Uh, Armament, we have one M134 7.62 millimeter machine gun or minigun with 2,500 rounds, and one airborne flame gun with 3 minutes of fuel. Let's see, on the pylons, we have four medium range air to surface wire guided missiles, Scorpion anti tank rockets, two short range fire and forget air to air Dragonfire anti aircraft missiles, and one Hughes XM 230 chain gun with variable rate of fire, 1,200 rounds of aluminum cased ammunition. Um, yeah, and this is supposed to weigh in at about 9,500 pounds. So um, it's an interesting take on it of what we're throwing on there. Now, I do believe, and I'm going to be right or wrong or however this works out, it is a Gatling gun on here, and I thought originally it only had like a three-barreled Gatling gun for the actual Huey Cobra. I don't know where it sits today. It might be a 7.62 six-barrel minigun for all that goes. I really don't know. Um, and of course, we have the TAC page, which is out of one of the comic books, I believe, and TAC Dragonfly. So this is a smaller picture on my computer screen, but if you're looking at this, because so many people have the nice big um, TVs, and of course, as you can see, this is a little bit better loadout. We have a rack with three missiles here, and then two other missiles going off right there. So we have our machine gun and our quote flamethrower, as well as our chain gun here. Um, so now with the newer version of it, let's see well, actually, I think this is still an older one. Let's see how this goes. All right, we have roto changeable copter featuring Scorpion rockets, Dragonfire missiles, nose gun, and movable winch. Okay, it has high resolution radar, 25 millimeter Vulcan Gatling gun, which I think would have been in the front. And that's where I was kind of thinking it was kind of going, but I'm not 100% certain. Laser guided 160 millimeter cannon pod. So that is a huge cannon on there. Carbon reinforced main rotor, diffusion bonded canopy, twin turboshaft engines, offset V-tail. We have a M34 grenade launcher in the chin and a 60 millimeter mini cannon. So I don't know where that's sitting on here. I don't know if that's this one. No, that's the cannon pod. So they just start throwing things on here. So I'm kind of confused here. We don't see all that much I mean, they talk about missiles, but I don't see the missiles here. Of course, my eyes might be going goofy because this is later at night. So, trying to do the best I can here. Okay, now tape me along story cassettes, and of course we have a nice image of that. Let's see, we had this in a video game on the old Commodore 64. That goes way back when. And of course, the same game here. And this is from the commercial. So, okay. So as we look at it, there was a different box art here for Brazil. And let's see. The vehicle construction, what I don't see is normally we have the different variations of it or whatever else. I do remember that they had redone this for the Tiger Patrol. I'm not certain as to what else they had done this for. So, okay, actually, here we have the Dragonfly, we have the Tigerfly, which is our Tiger Patrol, the Heli Fighter for Street Fighter, the movie, and the Locust back in 2000. So, um, as we see how things have changed or whatever else, maybe you can even say it went from the Dragonfly to the Locust when it got upgraded. Um, and even along the way, maybe the Tigerfly had a different upgrade in there, as we move along. So let's transition over and see what we have for stats. All right, so taking this as a speeder scale, keeping it in that rough area here. It is 48 feet long, and I did actually put a 14.63 meters. It was one of the few times I actually had a small little bit of brain usage to say, because so much of this is done in metric in Star Wars, so I figured I'd put it in there. Has a crew of 2, no passengers, although if you do watch the cartoon, there are plenty of times where you have people hanging on to the skids and whatever else they can hang on there. Um, altitude range. Actually, we're not even up to that. Cargo capacity. I didn't put anything in there, so let's try and throw in about 45 kilograms. kg. Full coverage because of the canopy and everything. Altitude range. It can go up to about 6.4 kilometers. Maneuverability. Being an attack helicopter, I figured it's going to be a little bit more maneuverable, so I gave it a 3D. Um, a move, we can go about 220 miles per hour or roughly about 360 kilometers per hour. Body strength, I gave it a hull strength of 4D. So, looking at the weapons we have on here, let's see what I all gave it. So, we have a heavy repeating blaster in the front, keeping it at a speeder scale, fire control of 2D, and damage of 5D. We have 8 air-to-air missiles. Looking at just the missiles on here, so I gave it 8 of them. Again, they are at speeder scale, fire control being at 3D, damage at 5D. And then we have 7 rocket pods. So, or 2 7 rocket pods. Let me say it correctly. So these are the smaller rockets that are inside the pods here. Um, Again, we're at speeder scale, fire control of 2D, and damage at 5D. And that looks like that might be, yep, then we go on down to our next vehicle. Um, I didn't give it the bombs because I feared we don't really drop too many bombs with helicopters, but having like the rocket pods on there would make a little bit more sense. And having like the rack where it's 4 air-to-air missiles uh, would also make a little bit more sense. Now, if we wanted to, we could take the air to air and maybe make it air to ground. Um, Actually, why don't we do that here? Let's put a little. Let's change this up a little bit. Air to ground. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 7D damage. So these will be a little bit more. Maybe because if we're going to have a little extra damage, let's change out the range a little bit here. Yeah. So let's say that we're out to 1.5 kilometers. 3, and then Yeah, we'll do about 6 kilometers. So just trying to think this through. Um, and I'll explain where I'm kind of coming with this. So if anyone's familiar with BattleTech, we have long range missiles and short range missiles. So I'm sitting here thinking air to air might be a longer range than what we're going to use for an air to ground. So that's where my thought is on this one. So if I'm upping the damage, so I have more room in the head of the missile for the extra damage to try and get through armor, um, then perhaps I'm going to shorten the distance that it can go. So that's my kind of reasoning behind this. Um, Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it kind of balances it out a little bit, but let me know what you think. Um, Again, it's another iconic uh, vehicle from GI Joe, something we did see quite a bit of. And here it is, putting it into a Star Wars type scenario. Um, you know, how do we bridge these gaps or whatever else, and then go on from things that we know to some a little bit more science fiction things that GI Joe kind of is. Here we are. Um, but this is the direction I thought I should go. As always, let me know what you think. And we can always change things up or whatever. Uh, I'm not against having little debates on how things should be. Like I said, I'm not sitting here saying I'm an expert. I've used the system for many years, so trying to put things in there, trying to balance it out. I think I do a pretty good job. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I think I get it right on. Sometimes I second guess myself later on it. But again, just being able to bring a nice iconic vehicle and bring it into the fold is always a pleasure. So, hope you're enjoying the series. It's always wonderful to bring it to you, bringing in for what I've kind of created, entering in GI Joe into our D6 universe, however we decide to do it. So, hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you